Hey guys, welcome. It's Guido coming at you with another interview, and this time I'm excited about this. And we got Sophie, the famous Sophie. Now, is it Sofilein or Sofilein?
Sofilein.
Sofilein. There you go. I always mess that up. So you're one of the bigger CCs out there. Know what
For
I
North
mean?
America, I guess, yeah.
Yeah. You actually do a lot of stuff. So I don't know if there's anyone who doesn't know who Sophie is, but in case there's a person watching this who doesn't know who Sophie is, what is it that you do as a CC?
Well, I stream and I do YouTube. It's been a side, little gig for me for about 6 years. I've been streaming. I've been a YouTube partner since the end of 2014 or so, and the main thing that I do is gosh, when I say the main thing, because I feel like it's kind of all over the place. I just like to stream. I just like to play tanks. I just like to have fun. People can come and hang out in the chat and ask questions about the game or just chill. It's everybody is welcome. So back in the day when I was streaming, it was like we had WGL guys in there. There's like
Yeah.
wargaming folks in there. There's just players in there from different clans or just newbies. Like anybody can come. You can ask questions if you want to, or you can just chill. I love to just sort of chill. So I work in mental health and I spend a lot of time listening. And so my stream is my place where I can just like jam out and do whatever. It's kind of fun for me to kind of like, now Sophie talks instead of Sophie listen, sort of like balances things out. So
Oh yeah, there you go.
for
Yeah,
me, it's kind of like chill above everything. And
yeah.
I love tanks. I love military history. That's what brought me to World of Tanks. I've loved military history and World War II, specifically armored vehicles, since I was like, that's as long as I can remember ago, right? So
So how did that happen? Like,
it just was. I was just born that way. I like
really?
tanks. I don't know, man. Like, so and then my parents never said like don't. My father was an artilleryman in Vietnam.
Okay, there you go.
I
All
have a
right.
military family so they
Right.
allowed me to be interested. My dad
Yeah.
really likes aircraft, and I like aircraft too. But again, the ground vehicles are kind of my thing. But so nobody ever said don't because dad's like, sweet, now we can. That's somebody because my mom's kind of an old hippie and doesn't like that shit. But so somebody to go to museums too. So we were always going to air museums and stuff growing up. And then
Well, no
in school,
offense, but you kind of have a mixture of the hippie and liking. Just
yeah,
you know what I mean? It's not I'm not saying in an offensive way, but that's really kind of cool.
yeah. It's I just love history. So one of the things that I love the most about streaming and growing a platform is that the bigger that I get, the more I can help. So I've raised thousands of dollars over the years for restoration projects and for museums and that keeping the history around and helping to support through just gaming. Games are just games. It's just fun. You can
Right.
make of it what you like, right? But if we can support what I think really matters, which is keeping the history around,
Yeah.
um, I for me, what I think is really important is so I'm 27, so my generation and below, the public school system, that's a whole conversation to have on its own in America. But I think that if you don't have a history teacher that is good, you're gonna hate history forever. If they
Right.
make it
Valid.
dry and unimportant, you will hate history forever. It's not something that you need for life.
Yeah.
And but video games and film are the way that my generation connects with things. Not everybody has a veteran in their family. We're losing our World War II veterans. Not every, their stories are. We have to keep that around in a way
Yeah.
so people can learn from them. But not
Yeah.
everybody has access to that. But video
Yeah.
games are a way that bring history to life. World of Tanks is not a historically accurate game. Tanks don't work like that. Tanks don't fight like that.
Yeah.
But visually, it's enough to kind of make that spark that gets somebody saying like, "Wait, that was real," and they can go check it out and bring that person in through the doors of a tank museum to see that stuff for real, and then it really connects and it's there. World of Tanks really helped. I loved World War II before I found this game, and that was like where I was at. I would just bury myself in World War II stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I did the
but
same.
yeah, World of
Yeah.
Tanks helped kind of bring alive another sphere of things. Like I like to use the American heavy prototype tanks as an example. The T-29, T-30, those were never produced, and they never fought in any war.
Right.
And I never would have found out about that because of that. I'm interested in the battles and I'm interested in the soldiers and their experience. I never would have found out about or like gave a shit really about that until World of Tanks kind of brought them to life. And it's like, wait, that's actually really cool. Wait,
Yeah.
those things are still around. And then so the whole idea of like tank design from an engineering viewpoint. I went to engineering school first. I worked in the oil field before I changed careers.
Did you really?
So
Where?
I worked actually a lot of different places, both on land and offshore.
No kidding. Holy cow.
Yeah, and I love a technical field, and so the design aspect of tanks from an engineering standpoint is quite fascinating. But I was only ever really interested in the combat role and the story of that. So World of Tanks has kind of brought that alive. There's a lot of different people. One of my favorite historians, his name is Ed Francis, and he's helped me compile historical information for some of my videos. You'll see him talking tanks in some of my videos.
Right.
Helped bring the tank design aspect that I never, ever, ever would have really got into to life as well. But World of Tanks kind of sparked that. I'm like, cool. How can a video game help people connect? And what can I do? What can I do to help with that? So going to tank events and streaming the live, these huge machines. If you don't ever see it, you can't learn that from a book. You can't learn it from a movie. Just the sheer mass of these things in motion. Go to a museum, go to one of these events and see it. So I'll get invites out to these different events from museums who want me to help promote that and get young folks going, because those are our next curators, those are our next tank mechanics, and they see the value in that. So how can I help people connect with the stream, out at the things with the tanks going around, or with a guy who works with them speaking about their components? How can I help? And that's been
until you get near them. It's the same thing with me with airplanes, having flown them. Until you get near them and you hear the noise, the vibration, the smells, the heat from the engines, the heat from the engine of the tank, just the whole package of this machine, like you were just saying, you don't really get a good idea of it until you're close to it. And then it's just impressive, the visceral feeling of being around that machine. It is impressive. So it's pretty cool that you've been able to go do that, because you have really turned, like you were talking about the streaming and YouTube thing. You've delved into a whole nother level, like you were just talking about, of the industry around the industry, with the raising money. So how did that kind of happen?
I'm a helper.
Yeah.
So that's sort of natural, just kind of like, how can I? And the first fundraiser that I ever did was for a group called World War II History Project. It's a nonprofit out in, I think they're based in California, and they work with veterans to record their voice. Yeah, and I had just seen it, just because, you get on social media and you hear different stuff. And I had heard of a project where there was a gentleman who served in the German army in Africa, and he was captured, and a gentleman in the British army, and they ended up meeting through the prisoner of war system.
Yeah.
And they've been friends after the war. One of them was obviously captured in Africa. The British gentleman served and did the whole D-Day thing. So they both have a tremendous experience, and they've been friends, and they meet up after the war, starting after, I think it was like in a couple decades after it had ended. They kind of started to meet, and now they're friends, and they meet every year, and they wanted to fund a documentary with these men. So I was like, cool. This was back in, I think, 2017 is when I might have done that. 2017 maybe was the first one.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so I just started streaming every day with a donation bar that says this, and put something in the chat with the link to the thing, and people were like, cool. Ended up raising over $1,000 for that. And I was like, oh, cool. And they were like, that makes such a difference. Makes such a difference. So I was like, okay, because this is I do all this on the side. I'm not a full-time streamer. I work a good 60 hours a week at my regular job. All of this is run, like all my social media is run on work breaks, and I used to stream after work, so all of this is done. I try to get time off of work to go to tank events. Like all of this is done on my vacation time. So I'm very busy with all of it, and I can't just be like, yay, big streamer. That's not fun. That's not enough. I have to make a difference for something and somebody out there. So what I started to realize, like, hey, this actually made like a good dent in what they needed to bring this project to completion and keep these voices from these veterans, that once we lose them, we will never get them back.
Yeah.
And right now we have more ease of access to recording technology. To just whip out your smartphone and you can stream, you can record in 4K.
Yeah, you get the verbal histories. Those are really interesting.
Yeah, and you'll never get that again. You can never recreate that the same as hearing it from themselves. And so something like that is like of utmost importance to me. So when I went ahead and did that the first time, it kind of made me realize, like, this is actually something that can matter. It's not just games. So yeah, that's kind of like once that happened, I was kind of hooked. So since then I've done several charities, and every time that it's like, sweet, like this. That was really worthwhile. Streaming is quite fun. Like I said, it's kind of like, it's cathartic for myself. It's fun for others. But cool, what can I do that makes a difference? And so that's kind of where I found that niche.
Yeah, it's fascinating to me, the industry around the industry, like I mentioned a little earlier. And I've been documenting on my channel. I talk to the subscribers, my community, as we like to say. And I'm very open about it. I'm like, here's what I'm doing. Here's the costs of things. Here's the the money you can make doing this, that, and the other. Here's the openings, the opportunities that have been opened up for me. And it's really interesting to see how much is kind of wrapped around a video game. It's not necessarily connected to the video game, but the video game opens up these other windows, and there's another industry all around the video game. It's just the whole industry around the industry is really fascinating to me. And I think you've leveraged it probably better than just about any NACC anyway that I've seen, because you're doing such a wide variety of things. I was surprised that you just said you work a full-time job and you do all this stuff.
Right.
Wow. Holy cow. Do you eat at all? Any sleep?
I find the time.
Is there any
it's I had a burnout really, really bad last year. Some medical stuff came up, but I kind of just ignored it and worked over that. So learning how to find the balance to stay healthy was a big lesson last year. I am a workaholic, so that's very natural to kind of just go hard. So, you kind of learn as you go.
Yeah. Well, being healthy is particularly important right now.
Right, you'll never get that back all the way if you lose a bit of that health. And you can't do what you love if your health goes to shit. So it's got to be the priority. So I stopped streaming at night after work during the weekdays, starting last fall. I really miss it though, so I started to pick up warships because it's a little less demanding with regard to reaction time and stuff like that. I picked up warships, and I love it. I love warships. So that's probably going to be when I get back to work. I'm probably going to bring back warships in the evening to do evening streams again, because I hate just streaming on the weekends. So
are we going to see Sophie climbing around on a battleship somewhere and raising money for a
absolutely.
For a ship?
I loved Naval Warfare when I was little, so I'm hoping it does the same thing for me that Tanks did for me. Is kind of bring that back. So
when I was a kid, my parents had these Encyclopedia Britannicas, and they had the World War II ones. So I was before the internet, so I would spend my entire Saturday morning going through these things, and they had a lot of technical drawings of tanks and airplanes and ships, and kind of just exactly what you were saying. I would spend 3 hours on a Saturday morning going through the same encyclopedia, looking at the same tech orders and all this other stuff. I don't know, it was just something that I liked. The history of it was fascinating.
Yeah,
so
what's drawn to it? I can't explain it.
What's your community like? What would you describe your community as?
Funny and gosh.
You're very relaxed. I've watched what I like to do when I do these interviews. I watch the content you guys create, and you're very chill. And you're actually sitting in the same place that you stream from, and you have your camera kind of to the side. Is that on purpose, or is just the way you're set up in your room?
It's just mounted there. Yeah. I don't change it. I got a mount for it, and it just sits there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's an interesting angle, because most people are kind of face on. And you got that kind of side, and you're always leaned back in your big chair there, and just very relaxed, just kind of cruising along. I like that a lot about the stream that you do.
Yeah, I think my community, everybody is so different. Like I said it there, I have museum curators in there. I have authors for very serious military history work that come in and chill. I have high school kids. I have the old WGLA pros, I have other contributors. Yeah. I really like just togetherness. Everybody can come and chill. You can lurk if you want to, or you can be in the chat all the time. I have just folks from all over the place, and some people haven't played Tanks for 2 years that are still my regulars, because it's just chill. So I want everybody to just be able to enjoy it in their way. You can chat if you want to. I'm really good at keeping up with the chat. The multitasking aspect comes in. I have 2 screens, and I'm quite good at reading.
I did note that. Quickly. Yeah, you pretty much are right on as people are talking. Even while you're playing, you're talking as you're playing. That's not easy. I struggle with that once in a while, because I'll get concentrated on the game, and then I'm like, wait a minute, chat. And chat's that far. I've missed it all.
It's a skill. Yeah, you kind of have to I've gotten better at it over the years, of just to be able to kind of. But again, that's. Well, I'm quite good at listening and writing at the same time with work, right? So you get these skills that then come out and enhance through streaming. I've been able to develop a bunch of different kind of skills and community management, and kind of okay, good. I have to be fair to make sure that everybody has a voice. And when little things come up, and because people will get into disagreements or arguments or something, or things get political, and then the ensuing shitstorm of everyone arguing about some sort of politics. Okay, I have to be able to handle this fairly. I want the best for everyone, because, like I said, it's my time. my stream is my time to chill. So I want it to be everybody else's time to chill as well. Every streamer, I really believe that there is room for everyone. Every streamer, every content creator has their space, and somebody will dig that. Somebody will dig your style. Somebody will dig what you have to say and the way that you have to say it. There is room for everyone, and I want to make sure that my time, it's mine, right? Like, I do this in my free time. I do not care. I will never do it if I don't enjoy it. I'm not trying to act like somebody else, be somebody else, or try to make big bucks or something, right? Like, I already have a job. So how can I make this as enjoyable as possible? And you end up kind of curating your own community based on what you like to deal with, right?
Yeah.
Like, every streamer kind of has that. So I love to hear from my community, whether that's in the chat or in the Discord. I love to just hear from people. That's just how I am. So my community ends up being, you get really familiar with folks, and I've ended up meeting at these different tank events and stuff, or TwitchCon. I've ended up, putting real faces and real smiles to the names in the chat, and that's
that is
really
enjoyable. That's what this has done for me, which has been so. I was watching you, and initially I was going to give you grief because you're playing a mouse, and it had no camo on it. There was no paint. It was just the bare mouse. I was going to give you a hard time. Then I realized it was a press account, and you might have been on EU. Are you doing EU and NA?
Well, since I don't have work to go to during the day, I can finally stream at EU times, and I wanted to play with some of my friends. I've been a contributor since, quite a long time.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of friends in the EU, other contributors and other streamers and people like that. I wanted to finally play with them.
Oh, cool.
I do have an EU account. And there's more players in the EU than in A, and
Absolutely.
actually a majority of my audience is actually EU anyways, just due to that. Yeah, plus before I did, I was in between school and work. I used to stream at EU times, and that's like my first family was an EU clan called Seal. And so I used to have a lot of EU viewers, and so to be able to stream at their time and kind of play on their server has been something that people have been asking for a really long time. So I just reached out to Wargaming, I was like, hey, can I, do that? So I go to a lot of the Tank Fest in England. I've been to that like a good 5 times, so I know a lot of the EU crew as well. So it's not like I'm not trying to be an EU contributor or something. I'm not going to move there, but it would be a chance to let me play for these guys. It's the same game.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can still contribute to the same community. Even if I play NA, I think my percentage is 30 something from the United States, 32 to 35, sometimes a little higher depending on the day, but even if I have an NA contributor, you get EU people anyway. So
sure, yeah, that's interesting.
Those folks are my family too. So kind of.
All right, here's a hard question, Sophie. You ready? All right, I'm gonna ask Artie or no Artie.
I think that Artie is really boring to play, so I avoid it if I can. But I understand that people like it. So here's the deal. Like I said, I'm chill. Yeah. It's a video game, and I really don't. To be honest, I'm gonna say this in the most. I don't intend this to be denigrating or flippant or anything, because there's a lot of passion in this game. I do not care. I do not care. Yeah. My way of life is to find something that you like about something and make the best of it. So I understand why artillery is in the game, and I understand that people enjoy it. I'm a very aggressive heavy tank player. Artillery is incredibly, to put it succinctly, fucking annoying. However, I understand why people like it, and I have better things to do than get mad. I don't like to be mad.
Yeah, so I was watching. You're playing them. I think it was the mouse, because it's got the side Sophie view, and the big Artie hits you like twice or whatever. And I'm watching you do this, and I see Sophie's eyes go. It was awesome. That's why I had to ask you, Artie or no, and it was good. You didn't get mad. But you went. Whatever, man.
There are elements of World of Tanks that are frustrating, and I used to get frustrated. And I found, as a contributor, I've come to meet some of the developers for this game and understand the culture of this game. Honestly, the thing that has helped me not get butthurt is understand. I'm from America. I'm an American, red-blooded, god dang American. And this game, while Americans do like it, and we have an NA office and we have an NA server, this game was developed by people from another country. Yeah. That country has another culture. Even though they might seem European, they're not. It's not a Western culture, actually. And there's differences, and that game was made for them. We like it on accident. I got
Yeah,
into it because of
yeah,
the history, but the game was not made for Americans.
yeah.
So the players, there's a different culture in the play, and so what I want in a game may not be what those players want, or even what those developers want. Video games are actually kind of an art form. It's like a movie. It's somebody's actual artistic vision, and it comes through. There's gameplay, there's competitive, there's blah. There's a lot that goes into video games, but it's actually kind of an art form. And
Yeah.
those people have a creative vision, and those people's visions may not match mine.
Yeah, I think as the
So
world becomes a little bit more one there's more internationalism, there's quite a bit now, and there's going to be more in the future. I think it is incumbent on a company, especially if they're going to then send the game around the world, to maybe react a little bit better to these other cultures that they didn't create the game for. But I completely understand what you're saying, because the
yeah,
majority of their player base is in Eastern Europe. That's just the way it is,
and
and
it's gonna
Russia.
be different.
Yeah,
And as
yeah,
an American, I'm like, damn, don't y'all want to make some money?
yeah,
Because it's quick. I
yeah.
brought it up, I think, at Tank Fest 2 or 3 years ago. We used to have these community developer sort of Q&A type stuff. Like, okay,
Yeah.
so you've made it quite clear you don't ever intend to have server roaming. Like in Dota, where you can be Russian and then come play with North Americans, right? It's
Right.
quite clear they don't ever intend to have that. Why don't you tailor the game based off of community response or even surveys? You see surveys, right?
Hmm.
Why not tailor the game for the regions? Why not, like in North America, which is obviously has a different mentality with from the players than in
And what'd they
Eastern Europe?
say?
They acknowledged my answer as a question.
Yeah,
They
yeah, yeah.
said, I don't, like so.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they're pretty
Again,
good at that.
and
They do that. They acknowledge it, and then we don't see any movement really,
yeah, but it's
because
their company, and they have inertia. It's a large company with quite a bit of inertia,
oh,
sort of a
absolutely.
Western. It reminds me a
Yeah,
little bit of a Western oil company. There's a lot of inertia. It's just corporate culture. It's just, and if just because it's not mine doesn't mean, I've never developed a game. I've never made a game. So who am I
yeah,
to say that my idea is right? Right? I have to kind of climb down from my, like, yeah, this is
yeah,
their game. At the end of the day, it's their game. And the thing that I hate the most about World of Tanks that actually almost got me to quit was the accuracy nerf back in 2014. I hate dispersion more than anything. I hate
yeah.
that you can have the upper hand in terms of skill, and then your shot just goes whoop, and you could have done damage and you just didn't because of a factor that you cannot control. I hate that aspect, and I wish that they would bring down RNG to 15 plus minus 15%, and they would bring down the dispersion to where it was. That is my number one problem in the game. My number one problem.
Yeah, I
I
think
hate
you're
it.
right.
Yeah, I hate
Yeah,
it. Like I said, I almost quit. I would have quit this game several times if it wasn't for the community. But again, like, can I make it? How can I adapt and make it something that I enjoy come to the forefront more than what I don't like? There's a lot of fun. So you'll see me in mouse without camo for A, because I think it looks cool like that, and B, because I'm so aggressive. It doesn't matter. The mouse is the sign
it
of
doesn't
fucking.
matter.
It doesn't matter. I'm always brawling with people or going across with
Yeah,
some
yeah,
kind of thumb to hit somebody in the
yeah.
face. Camo? You want to camouflage your mouse? You might as well camouflage the moon. Like, it's so. I
But
sort of
Sophie,
don't care.
it's gotta look cool, man. Come on.
I think the bear tanks look cool. I like my tanks in
Oh,
natural. The mouse has quite a bit of confidence. It doesn't want to hide. It loves itself. I think all tanks should have the confidence to present themselves as they are.
there you go.
It's big and it's beautiful and it loves itself and it doesn't mind to be seen.
All right. All right. Well, speaking of things that are unseen, how about wheeled tanks? What do you think?
Well, wheeled tanks aren't tanks. Those are wheeled vehicles. I was irritated because it's World of Tanks. It's not World of all that other sort of shit. But an SPG is not a tank.
Yeah,
Something like the Sturg is technically not a tank.
yeah.
So I could get
I don't have
mad.
any problem with wheeled armored vehicles being in the game. I don't like the way they're mech'd. I just don't like that one of the most basic things of tracking / slowing a tank down in order to take them out, that has been a mechanic that's been in the game from the very beginning, that just got thrown out the window. I
Yeah,
just
I
you
don't
know
like
what
that
I'm saying?
either. They're obviously adjusting them. They've announced that
Yeah,
they're adjusting them. I look
yeah,
forward to that.
yeah,
Things have been entered into the game that needed adjusting. It takes a while for them to come around and adjust it. That's just how it is. I look
yeah.
forward to them being adjusted. They did nerf them. We all, you recall we received them to play
Right.
before they were released, and
Yeah,
they did change them because they saw that aspect was too powerful. I think there are some aspects about them that are still too powerful.
yeah,
My big problem is actually not with the wheeled vehicles. It's actually with the destruction of the light tank role and the light tank lines in general. I think that's more of a problem. So it makes the issues that the wheeled vehicles have more distinct. And I don't know what their vision is with light tanks. I don't know why we don't have light tanks be as strong and the spotting role not be as the way that it was. I thought that was quite fun. I liked that
yeah.
back in the day. Like the old Chappie, the old Bulldog, those were great. What happened there? What is their vision that says light tanks should not belong
Yeah.
as they did. And so
Yeah.
I think that that's a greater issue that makes the wheeled vehicles even more distinct of a problem. So we'll see kind of how I'm
Yeah.
waiting to see. I wait and see. I wait and see how it plays. You can bring me the numbers of a vehicle before they put it into the game or as they change it, but I don't have a real opinion until I put my hands on it and I play it myself. So
I
I'm waiting
avoid
to
that
see.
as well. I do, and I
Yeah.
think that actually brings us into another area. And again, we're not here to throw grenades at anybody or anything, but there are a number of people contributors who are kind of clickbait people. I'll just say it that way without throwing any names, and they'll go crazy over the numbers, and they'll look at it and they'll say this tank is garbage, and then all of a sudden that legend goes, and they're contributors and they're influencers, and people get in their head. And my perfect example is the Brit Light tank line. There's nothing wrong with them. They're actually performing on par with any of the light tank. But the legend is that they're all terrible. And they're not. And it's because people just looked at the numbers and went, oh, they're terrible. And they didn't do what you just said, which is, hey, why don't we wait and see what happens with this?
Yeah, the British tank line, they've definitely been, and again, the game is not historically accurate. Their characteristics from when they were designed, because those are real designs. Those are not
Sure.
fake tanks.
Yeah.
Those are not wargaming figments of. Those are real. Those are real design tanks. And they have been altered from their original, just to fit into the game as well.
Sure.
But the problem is not with the British tank line. The problem is with lights in general. Why did anybody think that wargaming was going to all of a sudden resuscitate light tanks? They're not kind of looking. People can have. I mean, everybody creates content in a different way. That's their style. I mean,
Yeah.
whatever. Like that's what they want to do. That's what
I couldn't draw you into that, could I? I tried.
People need to. I think that the player base and viewership and people in general need to have a little bit more of a attention on observation and data evaluation. Just because somebody says something, you really should wait to see it yourself to have an opinion in general. So any creator that has a style of doing that, it's also you have to kind of take the responsibility and put it on the people who are like listening. That's your job as a viewer to properly evaluate data. Just because if somebody has a lot of numbers, they're quite popular and they say something, you just take that for granted. Remember when your mom used to say, well, if your little friend jumped off a bridge, would you do it too? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know, Mom, how fun did it look?
Yeah, exactly. Like, just because somebody tells you to do something or tells you that it's that way, are you going to do it? But that's, again, the viewer. Something that I've learned over the years is that World of Tanks players love to complain. They will find something to bitch about. It's just what it is. Like, that's how it is. Like, there's that. It's almost like a little game between wargaming developers and the player base. The player base will never be happy. So
somebody won't be.
Yeah, you can never. It's like, why don't they listen to the players? And it's like, cool. If you listen to the players, we might have like a karma-based crew system, like Bethesda style, where depending on the gameplay choices that you make, your crew skills, like decision-making crew skill system, like, what players are you gonna listen to?
I draw a distinction between what I call sport bitching, and just whining for whining. I think there's a lot to be gained from working out the complaints by complaining together and going, this sucks, that sucks, what do you think? As long as you don't get into the pure vitrolic, I hate this game and the devs hate Americans and that kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really. I like the back and forth. I actually enjoy that as long as it doesn't go over into that side. You know what I'm saying? So what do you think about skill-based matchmaking?
I've always played games with skill-based matchmaking. Once again, it kind of comes under. I don't care. It's not my game.
Yeah.
I think that non-skill-based. My opinion on like the World of Tanks system is that I think that a non-skill-based matchmaking system helps to breed toxicity, because you have people who enjoy the game that don't have a good win rate. They just enjoy it. There are mechanics of this game that are difficult to understand and are not presented in the UI, that are not presented in any facet of the game. There's things you can just be bad and not know it. A lot of, I think there, like you can be very bad at the game and have absolutely no idea. You'll think you're the next Michael Whitman and you've got 400 win rate. And people enjoy it. You can enjoy this game and be very bad at it.
That's a great Sophie quote. You can be bad and not know it.
That's a World of Tanks thing. I think that like if you play Call of Duty, if you play League of Legends, if you play Dota 2, you know if you're trash. Yeah. And people will remind you. Skill-based matchmaker also is toxic. So like whatever. You know what I mean? Like I think that why would you even have, what's the point of having skill-based matchmaker if you have RNG anyways? Like
yeah, that's a hard one too. You're right. Absolutely. And going back to that, I agree with you. It needs to be less. we're going backwards to go forwards, but dispersion is a cool thing to model because guns have dispersion. And it depends on the mount that it's on, depends on the fire control system, depends on the crew. The crew has a vote on how they use the system. So dispersion's a thing. It doesn't, your shots do not always go directly to the center based on a lot of stuff. You can put a gun on a rack and for the test purposes and make it a very close shot range grouping.
Yes.
But once you add it to a tank, and whether you're moving, you're not moving, your turret's moving, all the things. But 25% is outrageous because then you are shooting at 50 meters and it's, going over here,
It's ridiculous, and I think it's really frustrating because you see, this is a game that attracts shooters, people from shooter games.
Yeah, right.
And normally they're very used to point and click and it does damage. If you aim correctly, you will, and then they get into this game and they're like, why can't I feel effective?
Yeah.
I don't know who I'm getting shot by. They're not appearing on my map. I'm getting shot by invisible tanks. I shoot on target and my shot just whoop off into somewhere else, or I hit them and it does no damage. There's layers of like, why can't I feel effective? People want to do damage. It's a shooter game.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily want to spot. They want to do damage because they come from maybe a shooter game background. It's a shooter game-ish.
Yeah.
So I think that's a problem because people wash out of this game. It's hard for me to get my friends to play this game.
I think
and that's frustrating because I want everybody to love World of Tanks.
Yeah, and the word you just said, I think we lose more players to frustration on a lot of different things that in a lot of cases I think wargaming doesn't need to make it that frustrating. That's always been my biggest complaint with them. I'm completely on board with you. It's their game. It's for a different population, Eastern European. That's where it started. All those things we just talked about. But I think really if they worked just a little bit harder on reducing some of the frustrations of things, whether it's communication or certain game mechanics, I think they'd go a long ways.
At least they would here. It seems to be fine over there. I think over the years, I've I was invited to Minsk for the sort of pre-rollout of 1.0. I think that the developers are fantastically intelligent people.
No, well, first of all, it's 10 years this game's gone. It's an unbelievable run for an online game.
It's a great game, and it's a force. And I love these. I really respect and I admire these people. Yeah. And I think that I wish we did more Q&As to CCs because I would like to speak with them and understand their vision because I think that I have a lack of information about their vision, and I want to know because they said last year in the fall, are you ever going to reduce RNG below plus minus 25%? And they said no. It's like hard answer, not like we're looking into this or the wargaming answer of like.
Yeah, I want to know the background, right? What's the background of that? Tell me why.
I want to find out. I want to know. I want to. What's your vision? Why do you love this? Why do you love this? What part does this play in what you love about your game? Because I want to understand. Because again, it's not my game. I've never developed a game, and I'm not going to be up here saying I know what's best.
And do you have data from Eastern Europe, from Russia? Do they love it? Is it like
they must?
Are we just outvoted?
They must love it. Yeah, they must find that so engaging or something. Right. I want to know because I think that the developers are fantastically intelligent people. I respect them very much. I love this game.
Yeah.
And I just want more people to love it. Why can't I get my friends to love this game? The farthest any of my IRL friends, and I'm a really social gamer. Like when I was in school, I used to play with a lot of my friends. So I get a game, like one of us will get a game, like, bro, you gotta play this game, and we'll all play it, right? Like to be when I was in school and I first found World of Tanks, I couldn't get any of my friends past tier 4. One made it to tier 7, and then the stock T29 ruined it.
Crushed his life. Crushed his will to live.
Premium to get him to play. Like I was like, bruh, come on. Like I got the ISU 152. It's so much fun, bruh. Like come on, bruh. Like I got the Yao Panzer 100. It hits people for 1,000, bruh. Come on. And I couldn't do it. So.
And he got to the T29 with the little gun. He's like, pew pew. You're just like, oh, I'm out of here.
It takes damage and shit. And like, oh god, it's so slow. God, like he couldn't do it. It couldn't do it. AMX 40. The AMX 40 grind actually almost got me to quit this game. That was way before I started streaming. AMX. I'll quit this game, and that was so I understand that frustration. I guess I just love tanks, and that kind of kept it going. I played with a couple of friends. Like before I started streaming, I just played because I love tanks. That's really it. I had Sarah, and I wanted to display the Tiger, V1, Panzer 4. That's kind of what got me into it. So I stuck around because of that, but a lot of people don't, and I'm like, why? Like, I want more people to love this game. So I want to understand a little bit of that vision, and maybe I can understand it and be a little bit more on board. At least, maybe.
All right. So, future Sophie, what's anything big? Any good news you can let us know? What's future Sophie gonna look to do? Any changes to the channel, additions? What are you thinking? Where are you going next?
Um,
Where can people see you next? What event are you planning on? I mean, I know with the whole COVID thing, that's probably all on
yeah.
pause, but
Tank season, yeah. So tank season, normally I'd be going to Millitrax, a Kino Tank weekend up at Ontario Regiment Museum, Tank Fest, and who knows, there's a lot of open houses at NECC Fort Benning that were planned for the year. All of it is shifted around, and it depends very much on my work schedule.
sure.
So until I get written permission for that time off, then I don't like to say, yeah, I am planning to go to Tank Fest. I am planning to go to, there's a tank. I have to wait for the dates for Tank Saturdays at Ontario Regiment Museum. And of course, whenever the virus finally fucks off and people can start to come, it's kind of, everything is kind of contingent on that. I love the, in terms of future, Sophie, there's different futures, right? There's future like the next month, there's future like till the end of the year, and then there's kind of like the future.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's all something that I kind of take day by day.
Yeah.
My attention is on, usually like I said, my attention is on my normal job. That's where my work is, and everything else kind of comes along. I love the World of Tanks community. I love the ships community is quite cool. I do love branching into that. The people are awesome. I love naval history. It's a beautiful game. I know, like, it's a video game, but nothing is perfect. It's a beautiful game.
Yeah.
I found World of War to be so much more accessible to the new player than World of Tanks. That I'm like, guys, everybody, you gotta try warships. Like, if you gotten pissed off at tanks, go play warships. Like, the first 4 tiers are so much fun.
Yeah.
And it's not like the in-game economy is really nice as well. It doesn't like, oh fuck, I can't fix my tank. Like, everybody's done that when they first started playing and didn't have premium, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
I love it. So, I really enjoy streaming. You know, YouTube. I don't of the live aspect. I don't listening to myself and having to edit myself and see my face. I don't like that. But I do love. You know, I was able to put together a trip with Hilary Doyle. That trip was kind of the brainchild of like, Ed was like, what if you did this? And I'm like, no, bro. Yeah, I'll ask him. And I was like, no, you know, and then we did it. And so I funded that trip. I brought him out and he was able to come out and speak. And Hilary Doyle's the eminent expert on World War II German armor.
Yeah.
If you like German stuff out of World War II, if you like German tanks, you have probably seen something that Hilary Doyle has written or wrote. He is
absolutely.
And he works with the Wield Foundation out in the UK, and they are restoring SDKFZ 223, and he was able to measure the one out at Fort Benning, which would be very helpful, so that helps that project as well. That's what I like. So I'm looking forward to doing, kind of just bringing the history from the expert. I'm not interested, I love this stuff, right?
Yeah.
But I wouldn't, you know, under the general definition of historian, I guess you could count me as a historian, but I didn't study this stuff in school. I studied other subjects.
Yeah.
I didn't, you know, I'm not interested in trying to be a tank expert. I like that I can give my platform, using that to put the focus on the experts. They've done the work. You know, I have spent time in tank archives, and I do spend time looking over information and to present that.
That's how you get there, Sophie. I mean, obviously you're well ahead of most people. You're doing
but
things.
Again, it's not like
you're around it.
There's different roles. I don't necessarily feel like I have to do that either. Like, I love to be able to shine the light on the guys that love what they do. That's what they put their life towards. I do not right now, in between my regular job and my stream, I do not have time to be like a right proper historian. I don't have time. I love to use the growth from my platform to shine the light on those people, because they don't have time to make a YouTube channel either. They don't know how to do this.
Yeah.
You know, like you've done it. You've learned YouTube from scratch.
Yeah.
How do I stream? How do I present? It takes time.
Yeah.
You've done that. These people don't necessarily have time or the inclination. I can give them that. I'm happy to promote these people. Like,
right.
So that's what I'm doing, a little bit more of that this year, of course, as well. That part is fun. I don't like being like, hey, look at me. Hey guys, it's Sofilein. Welcome back to my channel. That's so, I don't care. I don't like.
Please never do that again.
See, nobody likes that. Don't forget to like and subscribe and Patreon. Like, I'd rather fall down a flight of stairs. So
face first.
But if I can show the experts off and show off their knowledge and help people access that, because a lot of people don't like to read. They'd rather listen. So can I bring them the experts that they can listen to? I love that.
Yeah.
You know, if you guys want to learn more, here's a book. But I'm not out here to be like the focus. I don't like that. But can I use my platform to show off people that should be?
Yeah, you're using your domain expertise in the multimedia area to leverage that, to use corporate speak, to leverage that for the subject matter experts to get that info to people that are interested in it. So that's really cool, man. And all from a video game. Can you believe it?
Exactly. This has such value. A lot of people, I think, with I'm gonna call out old men stuck in their ways. because they don't necessarily understand the value of social media. They don't understand
Right,
the value
right.
of the game. It's all
Yeah.
just kid shit.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
okay, cool,
yeah.
yeah. So you grew up building models, and that's the same like kid shit. Yet it sparked a love for the. There's
Yeah.
nothing different between model building and video
Yeah.
games. It's the same. It's hobby. Like, it has value as it produces value.
Right. Right.
And a video game can be, yeah, it's silly, but it provides the spark that person is going to be the next curator. That person is the next tank mechanic. I know people who have joined the service. They've joined the armed forces because of World of Tanks. It inspired them. You know, this has value. It does. If you're willing to look, social media manages a whole thing. It's a whole thing. I know that you've seen that too.
Yeah.
How do you manage social media? How do you promote on social media? How do you grow social media? It's a whole sphere. People who are experts in a historical field are not necessarily willing to learn or deal with all that. It's a lot. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. So how can I help? So I've helped museums with their social media. I've helped museums set up things like Patreon or set up a PayPal and things. How can I help you guys survive? You know, help them with video stuff or social media stuff. Okay, when you post a video, Facebook wants you to pay to promote your posts.
Yeah.
So they will throttle your posts. They're not going to let everybody that follows your page see it at the same time because they would like you to. So if you post a photo, like the thumbnail to your video, along with the link, more easy. Not everybody knows that. They just plop the link in there and it's embedded and nobody will see it. You can see the engagement change immediately. Learned that at TankFest. We had a Google person come out and say something like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's these little things people don't think of that I'll share, as a small part. It's just as an example. There's a lot that can be done to help. And that's what I like to do. So,
yeah, that's awesome. I mean, one thing I'm doing on the side is I'm building basically games, but we call them conceptual procedural trainers, and we're doing this for the military to train specific part task trainers, and you can do that with games. And while it's a trainer, it's basically a game. It's using Unity as the baseline program for it. But what you said, the reason I'm saying this is that what you said earlier was very interesting, because I've got a lot of older people that I work with that look at it and go, what, you're building a game for learning how to fly jets? That's stupid. What, nobody learns how to fly jets on a game. I said, no, but they may learn a love for it. They may learn a specific part of it. It may move them on to something else. And it's very interesting that this electronic world that we're starting to live in is so connected like that. And you mentioned it, that I played World of Tanks, or someone played World of Tanks, got them interested in the military, and next thing you know, they've joined the military. It's powerful. It's just, the whole thing is really interesting to me, how it's all kind of swirling around together. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's amazing.
It's a powerful thing. Like you said, it can love to do it, and that love will push them through when the first old hand tries to get them to fuck off because they're young and annoying. That love will push them through behind the sticks in a jet. They will. Yeah. Because of that love of something that you've built.
Yeah.
It is powerful and it's valuable, and people who don't look at things that way might not see it.
Here's how I know it works. A quick story. My son and I, whether or not you like hunting, we'll just leave that out. But anyway, we're hunting, and we're talking about hunting.
I'm a hunter, yeah.
Okay, there you go. And we've got the rifle. Yeah. We're in the stand. It's in Florida, so it's more like assassination because it's a deer stand with a feeder, but we won't get into that. We won't get
Okay.
It's weird. But anyway, we're up there, and he's got the gun. He's shot. He knows how to do that. He's got the rifle. And we're talking about how to do it. I said, you have two choices. You can aim for the head, and I was just about to say the next thing. He goes, or the shoulder. And I looked at him, I went, how do you know that? He's like, Dad, I've played thousands of hunting games. I mean, he was trained to know that piece of information, that little part task piece from a hunting game. That's important. That's hugely important, because if you use that in your training systems to impart that information, and now I don't have to go over it with that kid. He gets that already. He knows exactly why you aim for that spot. We can move on to higher order stuff. It's powerful. It's really, really powerful. And I think you see that because that's what you're doing, basically.
Yeah, I don't have time to make a game, but...
Well, I mean, I'm just talking the whole system. Yeah, how can I help?
It is. It's very valuable. Absolutely. I've seen it. I've had it firsthand.
All right, so changing gears. What would you change in World of Tanks?
RNG first. Dispersion.
Done.
First.
Ever done.
Yeah. And question. Good question. That was a good discussion.
That's right.
No, we did talk about it before, but that is, and for the little things that I said about, like coming from a shoot, you aim, you fire, the shot fucks off somewhere else, or it bounces off. And I will say, I love the complexity, even though you don't look for weak spots with tanks, you fire center mass. It's not the same. I think that for a game, it's really fun. Like I said, I have a technical background. I love the trigonometric aspects of World of Tanks with your sloped armor.
Yeah,
and
right.
I love that. I love it. Yeah. Like, finding the weak spots is really fun for a game. Like, learning where to shoot is a very fun game mechanic. Even if that's not how tanks do it.
Doesn't matter.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's fun game mechanic, yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. So, I liked that. And I think RNG fucks that over because as soon as and here's why. So, I was learning, so in 2014, like, I was still kind of bad, and I was getting good. So I had surpassed average in Win 8, and I was kind of going up. And, okay, good. Like, there was a great reward in learning the game. I saw how much better I did, how much more damage I could get, how much more kills I could get, learning the spotting stuff and where to shoot. Yeah. And that learning the fineries of, like, okay, good, when do you shoot this kind, when do you shoot this kind? You don't have to press 2 all the time. But it was very rewarding because I could see how much more effective I was.
Yeah.
And then the big accuracy nerf comes in. And all of a sudden my shots are not hitting, even though, and then I'm like, well, why learn? Let's just be fast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it killed off the incentive to learn, because, like, why try hard when the game will just loop zoop your shot into, like, the gun mantlet and you do no damage when you were firing at the correct place.
You might as well snapshot.
Yeah. And then some scrub snapshots you in a KV2 and deletes, like, okay, cool, you were in motion, like, he hits those, he hits those, is like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's one of my complaints. Of course he hits that shot. Yeah.
Of course he hits those. And you can be fully aimed in at, like, point blank range and just like, so where did the shot? So that's RNG as an answer. RNG for sure. Just because I think that it discourages learning. Because you can just get lucky. And it's frustrating when you do learn and then you're not lucky. And you were faster, you knew the weak spot, you saw it first, you have better spatial awareness, you fired, he gets the damage, and you're in the garage.
And I think what we're left with on that is, over time, all of those skills you just mentioned comes out ahead. But in those one-off matches where you get screwed, that doesn't matter. You can be all nice and go, well, overall I win more. But in that one, you're like, oh, that was very frustrating.
Yeah, fuck it. Why do I do this? I just got home from work, and then this shit. Why I play games to have fun? People will quit games because of those moments.
And you go to World of Warships. That's
yeah, or like back to COD or
What other games do you like? Are you playing anything else?
I don't have time. I don't really actually play games off of stream, really.
I have found that. I'm doing that more and more. That's really odd. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just a life. It's just if I had more, I work a lot, you're right? So
right.
A game is not always relaxing. Because of, like, when I was in school, it's different. Like, competitive games are really fun, but, like, as you grow and get into adulthood, my job is, like, there's a lot of challenge in my job.
Right.
So I come home and I don't necessarily want to be challenged.
Yeah.
I'll play League of Legends TFT with a friend. It doesn't take reaction time or anything. Like, it takes a little bit of thought, but it's not, like, the most brain power. And I'll play with a friend and we kind of just chat about stuff. But that's kind of it. There's a lot of games that I would love to reach out to play. Panzer Corps 2 looks great. Cards that's coming up, KARDS. It's a World War II card game. Looks fantastic. I would love to play, like, WoW Classic. I'd love to play Bannerlord. Kind of these other, like, non-military titles. I would love to do that.
Go play Bannerlord. I enjoyed I'm having a lot of fun with Bannerlord. Yeah.
I just don't, like, now I have the time, for example, but I'd rather focus on, like, my content and kind of get my body out of the burnout.
Because you got some time to do those. Because I have a backlog of stuff I want to work on for my content.
Yes,
and I never get to it because I'm too busy doing the content.
Exactly. Like, because you're live. With streaming, you'll know you can only stream. You can't edit YouTubes while you're live. Like, you have to play the game. So then it's kind of like, huh. But then for me, because I'm sort of new with YouTube, every time I edit something, I have to go Google what to do next. Like, I'll get an inspired, so it's actually quite a process. So I actually don't really play games.
What software do you use for editing?
I use Vegas Pro.
Okay.
So there's always something new to learn. And
I know, it's crazy how much those things can do. Some people are really good at it.
Yeah. Some people are really great. It takes a lot. It's a very much a skill, and it's a very marketable skill. If you want to be a content creator and then
Yeah.
reach into some kind of like industry job, that's a very yes, you can do that. It's great. But yeah, I also, because of the, I listen a lot. Like I said, I work with mental health, and I come home and I don't really want to listen. No.
Yeah.
So I don't actually watch YouTube either. So it's really hard because like, do I want to listen? Do I want to focus on like one person again? I don't. I'd rather just kind of listen to music and chill, or like stream and then now Sophie talk. So
Yeah.
I have a hard time with YouTube because I don't watch YouTube. I actually like, you mentioned these other creators. I don't watch their content. Like I don't want to listen to one more person. It's a bit of a challenge for me on YouTube. I'm like, shit, what do I watch? What should I? What's that? What looks good?
Yeah.
Like how to present information and how to edit different things and animations. And I'm like, man, I don't know. Like I don't want to watch to find, so I have a hard time with just like the brainstorming, but
I'd say I just do it, man. I'm with you. I don't watch. I do watch a little bit for these interviews. I watch to see what they're about, and there's a couple of people I watch. I don't come home and go through a bunch of YouTubes. And I just, my plan here was just do it and see what happened. I mean, and maybe that's not the best plan, but that's what I've done.
It is what it is. That's what I did. That's what I've been doing for 6 years.
Yeah.
So it obviously works to some extent. So you gotta, it kind of depends on your own vision. Like like I said, you've got kids, you have job.
Right.
So like, do you want to come home and listen to somebody complain about a video game?
Yeah.
Like, maybe not. Everybody finds what's entertaining and what's worthwhile different. So it just is what it is.
Yeah,
What is your favorite thing about being a creator?
For me? Oh, you're turning the tables on me. It's the stupidest thing that I can think of before I started, that I heard people say, and I'm going to say it anyway because it's not stupid. It's the community, right? The people that come to your content and discuss stuff. Mine's pretty cool. From the very beginning, I said I'm trying to help people get better at the game. When you throw your comments down on my videos, if you have a different opinion, if you have a different way to do it, if I made a mistake, if I said something wrong, if you have an in addition to, man, put it down there. As long as it is not in a jerky kind of way. That's not a great way to say it, but keep it civil, keep it adult. And I get a lot of people saying, I learn as much from your comment section as I do from your videos. Because so many good players come in there and go, hey, did you know you could do this? I've learned stuff about the game I had no idea about. And I thought I knew a lot about the game. Over 2 years, I know so much more just because other people went, hey, did you know in the UI you could do that and that? And I'd go, I had no idea. So that's been the thing for me, man.
Cool.
It's weird to say that, right? Doesn't that seem odd? Oh, I love the community. It seems like a throwaway statement, but it's true.
Yeah, totally everybody will say that, and it seems, I can understand how it can feel a bit disingenuous. Just like how every musician is like, Philly, you guys are the best, and then they go, like New York, you guys, but it's true. And everybody, I think, says that for a reason, because to some degree, that's what they really do feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. It's been quite a ride. That's why I tell everybody this has been interesting. I knew nothing about YouTube, nothing about Twitch when I started all this, other than it existed. And I wouldn't say I'm an expert in any of it, but I can at least start a Twitch stream and I can make a YouTube video. So that's where I am.
Do you switch to YouTube or vice versa?
Man, I don't know. I wish I had more time to stream. That's my problem, because streaming, I can make I'm pretty good. Honestly, I'm pretty good at making a video. I don't do a lot of editing. Most of mine are one take. I sit down in front of a replay and I talk about it. And that takes me 15, 20, 30 minutes, and I edit it. So I'm in and out in 45 minutes per video, maybe less. I could probably kick one out in 25, 30 minutes. Twitch, you got to sit down for 3 hours, and that's my problem, because I'll have kids coming in or the dog or everything going on, so I have a harder time with Twitch. But I enjoy Twitch because it's that live interaction thing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so I think I enjoy Twitch more, but I do YouTube better. Maybe would be a way to say that,
Yeah, I can understand.
Yeah. Well, hey, Sophie, I really appreciate you coming by. This has been a fantastic discussion, and we'll kick this out, probably end up next week sometime.
Cool.
But any parting shots? I always ask this at the end, looking for Sophie wisdom for the World of Tanks community. What do you got for the people out there in Wattland?
Well,
got you on the spot.
With World of Tanks, as you said specifically, with World of Tanks, the game is very complex. And I can understand, being frustrated with things, or something like that. I think that just reaching out and being part of the community, there's Twitch, there's YouTube, there's always people to learn from and enjoy. Join a clan, like find some folk. Get on Twitch and find some folks and then be like, what clan are you guys in? It's like start playing with people and kind of reaching out. Because I think that makes it really fun. Obviously you don't have to play World of Tanks. You don't like it, you ain't gotta play it. Like there's other games that won't suck for you. Like, you know, when I say advice, it's kind of like I don't know. I don't. It's not up to me. Like if you don't want to play the game, I'm not here to say play it. Like go find something that doesn't suck. Go to a museum. Shit. But I love what I have found in the community. Like I said, like I love the community. It's really fun. Like you said, the live thing with Twitch is amazing. It's kind of its own thing.
Yeah.
But I used to be a Twitch viewer before I ever was a streamer. And that's really fun. Get into any of these communities. A lot of we share. Like I have viewers that probably watch you. You have viewers that might watch me. I have viewers that watch True. He's got viewers that watch me and Trobs and these guys. Like we all kind of share a community.
Yep.
But might be a place that you like most. And go find that and get in there because you can really make some worthwhile friends and it can really be, you know, kind of keep going. If you're new to World of Tanks and you're like, I don't know, I feel like I suck and this game kind of sucks, keep going and talk to people and like reach out and learn. There's a lot of cool stuff. This game company also spends a lot of money helping museums and funding restoration projects and
veteran
stuff. And
stuff.
You're not going to find that. You're not going to find it anywhere else. It's quite cool actually. So find your niche and find what you love and reach out. There's a lot of people and great things that come from these people. So in terms of advice for World of Tanks players, keep going. Don't get... I understand, like, game sucks sometimes, you know? But keep going, keep going. You might find something that you really love that adds a lot to your life. Keep going, and there's so many people out there that can help.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's something that you really enjoy. And if you don't, then you don't, and that's just as good. You find something that you do love maybe somewhere else, that's fine too. But for World of Tanks players, I guess that's what I got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good, man. That's awesome. That's awesome. Hey, thanks for coming by. And I'm going to say goodbye to the people. Sophie, say goodbye to the people.
Ta-ta.
All right, see you.
Bye.